In 1999, a movie was released to theaters that had almost every viewer believing that what they were watching were real, documented events that occurred. That movie was called The Blair Witch Project. There were no movie stars, no polished Hollywood monster, no dramatic orchestra telling the audience when to be afraid, just shaky camera footage, terrified voices, dark woods, and the horrible feeling that something unseen was getting closer. And for a moment in time, audiences didn't simply watch The Blair Witch Project, they questioned it. Was this real? Did these people actually disappear? Were we looking at evidence? That was the power of the film. It didn't just scare people with what was on screen. It scared them with what might have happened before the movie ever began. The Blair Witch Project introduced a new filmmaking style into the center of the pop culture universe: found footage, horror. Of course, the idea did not begin there. Years before Blair Witch, films had already experimented with fake documentary horror and recovered footage. One of the most infamous examples was Cannibal Holocaust in 1980, a film so disturbing and convincing in its presentation that it became controversial far beyond normal horror standards. Then, in 1998, the last broadcast also used a faux documentary structure, building its mystery around missing filmmakers and recovered material. But the Blair Witch Project was the one that broke through. It took the idea and made it mainstream. It turned cheap cameras into a weapon. It made bad lighting feel authentic. It made amateur acting feel like real panic. It made silence feel more dangerous than any special effect. And most importantly, it arrived at the perfect moment. The internet was young enough that people could still be fooled, but powerful enough to spread rumors fast. The marketing campaign treated the movie like a real missing persons case. The actors were presented as missing. The website included fake police reports, interviews, legends, and evidence. The entire experience blurred the line between fiction and reality. That was the real genius. The movie wasn't only in theaters, it was in the audience's imagination. And once Hollywood saw what happened, the lesson was obvious. You didn't need a giant budget to terrify people. You needed a camera. You needed a believable reason for that camera to keep rolling. And you needed the audience to believe that maybe, just maybe, what they were seeing could be real. For a while, found footage horror became one of the most exciting formats in filmmaking. It gave independent creators a way to compete. It gave horror fans a new kind of fear. It made the viewer feel trapped inside the scene, instead of safely watching from the outside. Then came Paranormal Activity. If the Blair Witch Project proved found footage could become a cultural phenomenon, Paranormal Activity proved it could become a business model. The film was made for an incredibly small production budget, often reported at around $15,000. It was shot mostly inside a house. The setup was simple. A couple believes something supernatural is haunting them, so they set up cameras to record what happens while they sleep. That was it. No army of ghosts. No elaborate mythology at first. Just a bedroom, a camera, a doorway, and the terrifying patience of the unknown. And it worked. Paranormal Activity went on to gross over $193 million worldwide. That is not just success. That is the kind of return that makes studios stop and stare. But the movie itself was only half the story. The marketing was masterful. Instead of selling the movie like a normal horror release, Paramount leaned into audience reaction. Trailers showed theatergoers screaming in night vision. The campaign used the idea of demand. Audiences were encouraged to request the movie in their city. The more people demanded it, the more the release expanded. It made viewers feel like they were discovering something forbidden, something underground, something they had to see before everyone else caught on. And just like Blair Witch before it, Paranormal Activity made people ask a familiar question. Could this happen? Could there be something standing over us while we sleep? Could a normal house hide something evil in the shadows? For a time, found footage was alive in the most powerful way possible. It felt immediate. It felt cheap, but in the right way. It felt like evidence. Then came the wave. After the success of Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity, countless copycats followed. Some were creative, some were effective, Some added new ideas to the format, but many were simply chasing the same lightning in the same bottle. A group of people go somewhere they should not go. A camera records everything. Strange noises begin. The characters refuse to stop filming. The footage gets worse. The panic grows. The screen cuts to black. And after a while, the audience learned the rhythm. That is where the problem began. Found footage horror depends on uncertainty. The format works best when the viewer feels like they are not watching a movie, but witnessing something they were never meant to see. But once the structure became familiar, the spell started to weaken. The audience stopped asking, "Is this real?" Instead, they started asking, "Why are they still filming?" That single question damaged the genre more than any bad review ever could. Because the moment the audience becomes aware of the camera as a writing trick, the realism begins to collapse. If a demon is attacking your house, why are you adjusting the shot? If your friends are dying in the woods, why are you still recording? If something inhuman is chasing you through the dark, why is the footage conveniently pointed in the right direction? At first, those questions did not matter. The fear was strong enough to overpower logic, but over time, the logic fought back. Another reason found footage began to fall out of favor is simple oversaturation. The format was no longer rare, it was everywhere. Movies used it, web series used it, YouTube creators used it, social media horror used it, paranormal investigation channels used it, fake security camera clips, fake cursed tapes, fake live stream disappearances, fake documentary shorts. The language of found footage became part of everyday internet culture. And when everyone uses the same trick, the trick stops feeling magical. The world changed too. In 1999, shaky footage felt strange and intimate. It felt like something recovered from a private nightmare. Today, everyone carries a camera. Everyone records everything. We have seen real disasters, real crimes, real breakdowns, and real tragedies captured on phones. The visual language that once made found footage feel shocking is now part of daily life. A blurry image no longer means mystery. Sometimes it just means bad video quality. That is the death of mystique. Found footage horror did not die because people stopped liking horror. It began to die because the audience became too fluent in its language. We know the cuts. We know the fake glitches. We know the sudden camera drop. We know the final scream in the dark. We know the ending where the footage is discovered after the characters are gone. The genre trained us too well, and once the audience knows the magic trick, the magician has to work much harder. But found footage did not disappear completely. Instead, it started mutating. Some filmmakers began blending found footage with traditional filmmaking. Sinister is a strong example of that hybrid approach. It is not a pure found footage movie, but it uses discovered home movies as a central horror device. Those disturbing Super 8 films inside the film carry the feeling of found footage, forbidden images, caption. That hybrid method works because it does not force the entire movie to obey the camera gimmick. The traditional scenes give the story structure and atmosphere, while the found footage elements deliver sudden bursts of raw, cursed realism. In other words, found footage may be weaker as a full format, but it can still be powerful as an ingredient. And that may be where the future of the style lives, not always as an entire movie, but as a weapon inside a movie. A lost tape, a corrupted live stream, a security feed, a police body camera, a video call that should have ended, a family recording that reveals something impossible in the background. When used carefully, found footage can still disturb us. It can still create the feeling that we are seeing something private, something accidental, something that was never meant to escape into the world. But the old version, the pure, raw, shaky camera mystery that made the world wonder if it was real, that version may be gone, because the culture that allowed it to exist is gone. The internet no longer feels innocent. Viral marketing no longer feels mysterious. Audiences are more skeptical. Viewers research everything instantly. Actors are found online. Budgets are listed. Behind-the-scenes stories spread before the movie even leaves theaters. The question, is this real? Barely survives opening weekend, and without that question, found footage loses one of its sharpest blades. That is why the death of found footage horror does not mean nobody will ever make another good found footage movie. They will. Creative filmmakers always find ways to revive old forms. But the golden age is over. The moment when a cheap camera could convince millions of people they were watching real evidence has passed. The footage is just footage.